comfort for us to be able to be war weary. I'm so sorry. That's the way it's going to have to be. There can't be like a timetable. There can't be like, oh, this is when we're going to pull out, telling them. That is not helping or making America safe. And if we don't step up and do the job, who will?
Yeah. Bob, it's my theory that ISIS could unite people who normally wouldn't even be in the same room. Is that an actual possibility?
Absolutely. I mean, look what's happened since these guys have been out there. Look, if you're an Islam cleric or an imam, and you're looking at this, and these savages are doing this in the name of Islam, you've got to sit back and say to yourself, you know, this is going to be a bad deal for us in recruiting next year. And so my guess is, and I go back to this, when these guys, you don't necessarily get to be the varsity because you're savages. These guys are savages. We understand that. But savages now are beginning to unite various factions around the world. I think you're exactly right. I think you're beginning to see this crowd will not be around in a year.
You think so, Eric?
Not by ISIS, by some other name they will be, but this crowd will be gone.
What's the difference? I mean, at some point,
remember
Al Qaeda's on the run and GM is saved and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Let me provide an idea, a thought. I don't know if maybe I'm completely off base on this. Continue to drone the hell out of them. Just continue a campaign, droning, finding, rooting them out. Continue to supply and support the Kurds and anyone else who wants to fight ISIS. Anyone want to take on ISIS? We got your back. We'll help you militarily. We'll help you with money. And also this, cut off their funding. One of the other things that they need, that they're doing, is they're selling stolen oil. They're pirating oil from Iraq, and they're selling it. Stop doing that. Don't buy. If you're caught trading with them in any way, shape, or form, or housing any of their money, or supplying them with anything, you're done too. You're finished. Cut them off at the pass. When you cut the money flow off, that's when you kill ISIS.
The Kurds are getting ever closer to getting these fields back. I would bet that they don't have the ability to sell that in a
Good enough.
Yeah, and ISIS just got 6,000 new members, so there you go.
Dana, 6,000, I mean...
Yeah, but you can't just dismiss it all, Bob.
Not dismissing. I think
just look at the images. Look at the press.
With a constant and persistent air campaign against them, and the Kurds and some of the Iraqi military, I think it's going to be taking these guys down.
Hey, Dan, I want to...
Yeah, don't be scared of... I mean, they're horrible people, but we can't make them bigger than they are.
All right. This is Mike Morrell, former director of CIA, right?
Yes.
And Hayden talking about the ISIS threat, and then I want you to comment.
The definition of terrorism, Nora, is political violence, violence for political effect. So we should mark this date down because this is ISIS's first terrorist attack against the United States.
This group tied this murder to American policy in their rhetoric. Now, does anybody really understands the situation in Iraq thinks that this group is not coming after us, is not coming after the West?
All right, so you're President Perino. What do you do?
Oh, well,
President Perino.
First of all, I would not golf. But let me, in all seriousness, this is a quote from Tony Blinken. He's the Deputy National Security Advisor, just 2 weeks ago on CNN. He said, ISIS, their focus is not on attacking the U.S. homeland or our interests here in the United States or abroad. It's focused intently trying to create a caliphate in Iraq and a base from which over time to operate. Right, to operate to do what? Our interests are very much in play when it comes to all the things that have been mentioned here at the table. I also want to mention a couple of other things. I'm for the drones. I'm for cutting off the money. I liked it when President Bush said you're either with us or you're against us. And so that means if you're harboring any of these people, the problem is, so now I think some of our allies are harboring these people, and they might not even realize it. There are approximately 20,000 foreign fighters that have Western passports that have been trained to do what this British savage did to Jim Foley. The problem is the recruitment. ISIS has the most robust digital strategy. They built it along with their physical capability. Al-Qaeda tried to build it on the back end and it didn't work as well. ISIS actually has it from the beginning. So while we need military tools, and I'm all for that, but I do think that the United States has to figure out a way to have a digital strategy that can disrupt the recruitment, because that's what that video was about.
What do you think, Kimberly, with the fact that the idea of these boomerang terrorists, they're here, they go, sooner or later they're going to come back. So isn't it better that we kill them there?
Well, the point is you've got to do the job all the way. You can't just say, well, we've been there long enough. The American people are weary. We've checked a couple polls. This doesn't sit well with our party or our constituents. I mean, That is so reckless and so irresponsible.
So, so you're arguing for putting military boots back on the ground?
You know what, Bob? I'm for leaving all options open. Why would you tell your enemy that we are not prepared to go all the way on this? They're not going to be cowering and hiding. They've made that perfectly clear. And whether it's ISIL today or another group or ACAP now that has pledged allegiance to ISIS, we can't just dismiss it and say, oh, don't take them so seriously. Take them seriously. They are intent on doing us harm. They are not sitting there checking polls to determine whether or not they should continue with their jihad against the United States.
And it may be late, but we're doing a lot right now, and intelligence is working on it. Allies are coming together. These guys have overstepped their ground, and they brought the world together, and I think what they're about to find out is what a real serious end of a drone flight.
I do think, though, that what Kimberly's getting at, and when you talk to people in the military, sooner or later, you have to meet boots with boots, and you have to slaughter them. It's not about nation building. Right. It's about elimination, and sometimes you can't do it from above. So you have to.
You may have. I mean, if the Saudis, for example, would get into this with their military, they could do a hell of a good job.
Yeah. All right. They're yelling at me. Coming up, Missouri.